Ever thought about DoorDashing? Well, stick around for this interview to hear about someone with some real life experience doing DoorDash.
Keith's an amazing guy.
What is up? It is Red, the Rideshare Ginger, coming right back at ya. I got Matt here with me. We're gonna do a little bit of an interview. Matt has been DoorDashing for a little bit of time now, so we're gonna do a DoorDash interview. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you started dashing?
Well, the reason I started dashing was because I tore my ACL and I work in a shop, so it's very physical work. And I was out of work for 2 months, and when I went back, I was still on part-time, only getting half my hours, and I just needed something to get me that extra half of that paycheck I was missing. So Red told me about DoorDash, and I could drive a car, couldn't work in a shop, but so I would come out here to the Elgin area and DoorDash a little bit just for that extra paycheck.
And do you feel like it covered that additional income that you needed?
Not completely. When you take out like the gas and everything, and like I travel 40 minutes to get out here anyways, so there's that, and because the area I live in isn't busy enough to make any money on DoorDash. But I mean, it made up a solid like 3/4 of what I was missing.
Okay. And how many hours were you putting in a week?
10, maybe 20 if I was like out here all weekend. But I mean, it really wasn't any considerable amount of hours.
And roughly off the top of your head, what was the biggest amount of money you made in the weekend?
The biggest amount, I think it was like $220 that I made, and that was like driving all day Friday and all day Saturday.
Okay. I guess what was the biggest surprise for you, the thing that you didn't expect?
How fun it was.
Okay.
Honestly, because I really enjoy driving. I mean, I've always been a big fan of just hopping in my car and cruising around, and like put my GPS on, plug my phone charger in, and like even in areas I don't know, it was pretty easy to do.
And I guess by contrast, I mean, doing rideshare, Uber, and Lyft, your passenger's food. So like, you could do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, I never had to pause the music. I never had to. I mean, sometimes I didn't even have to get out of the car. You could just swing through the drive-through, and
Now you were telling me about a interesting experience with a child that you had.
Yeah. All right. So I get to this lady's house, and it was odd instructions on which apartment and how to get to it, and all this fun stuff. So of course I go on this crazy goose chase to find this lady's house, and I get there, and the order was weird to start with because it said there were 3 items on it, but it didn't tell me what the items were. It said that it was ordered from some business or something to this lady, which I didn't get it, but I couldn't see the items.
Typically with DoorDash, it tells you exactly what items are.
Oh
right?
yeah, you have to make sure you see the items, you check it off, like, yep, those are all there, yep, those are all delivered. It's very specific with items and amount of items, and so I didn't see the items, so that kind of threw me off at first. So I picked up the food and everything, and they had it ready and everything, so that was cool. And so I go to this lady's house, about 10 minutes out of the way, and I get there, and I don't have her drinks. She ordered a couple drinks with it too, which I didn't see. And so I was like, oh, well, DoorDash will refund you, or, I could go back and get them. You're not really supposed to, but I felt bad. And she was kind of cute, so. So she's like, okay, hold on, give me 1 second. She walks in this house, and I can hear her asking someone, like, oh, like, they don't have the drinks, is that okay? And this little girl storms up to the front door and yells at me for not bringing her drinks in, and I was baffled. I was like little girl, up to my belly button, like, she was like, go get my drinks, and I was like, okay, yeah, I guess. So I go all the way back, get I double checked and made sure what they were, because I couldn't see the order, I couldn't see the menu items. So I get there, and I'm like, hey, I was just here for that order, and there were a couple drinks on it, and so they gave me the drinks. There was no problem or anything like that, and I went back, and the mother must have had a talk with her daughter or something, because the daughter answered the door again, and she goes, I'm sorry, mister, I just really like those drinks, and it was so cute, I instantly forgave her, but I was still baffled that a little child had the nerve to yell at an adult. I couldn't even imagine it.
Outside of that experience, did you feel like most customers you dealt with were pretty friendly and pretty straightforward.
See, I wouldn't even say friendly. Like, I feel like, I mean, they weren't rude by any means. Most of my interactions were pleasant, but short, very short. I mean, they're like, they obviously use DoorDash because they don't want to go out and interact with anybody.
Sure.
So they're going to interact with me as little as possible, which, I was pretty okay with. I'm not trying to stop and chit-chat with anybody because the more I'm in my car, the more possibility of money I have. So yeah, it was very like, hey, how you doing? Thanks. All right, good night. It was very quick and to the point most of the time.
And with that in mind, how often did you receive a cash tip?
Once.
One time.
Okay, I guess 2 if you count the penny. No, there was the...
You got a penny?
There's the one time this guy was one of the talkative ones.
Okay.
I had gotten there and I was like, here's your order, and he was like, oh, cool, okay, and he had asked me like, hey, you like, or something about like collecting coins or something, and I was like, I have a couple, but it's just, I used to work at a Dunkin' Donuts, so like sometimes I saw cool coins, so I kept them. And he was like, well, look at this, and he pulls out I think it was like a 1904 penny without Abraham Lincoln on it. It had the Indian head on it on one side and the feather on the other side.
Okay.
Which I guess those are pretty rare, and like on market they go for anywhere between like $40 to $100.
Okay.
And I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. Like, I've never seen a penny like this. And he goes, go ahead and have it. And I was like, huh? He was like, go ahead and have it. I have a couple. This is like one of my least valuable coins that I collect. So
Okay.
like, that's your tip. And at first I was like, that's rude as fuck. This dude just gave me a penny. Just a penny as my tip. But then I went home and I was kind of like researching it a little bit, and I mean, it's more valuable than just a penny, so that was kind of cool.
That's neat. Interesting.
Yeah.
So customers overall just kind of not really there. Like they're people. Like it's not a whole lot of interaction. Did you find the app pretty easy to use?
Generally, yeah. There was like right at the beginning when I started using it, where it would tell you to go to the hotspots, and I thought those were orders. So I was driving around like crazy trying to get to and like a new one would pop up every time I went back to the app, because it switches between the app and your navigation. And I was like, what the hell? What is going on? Why are there all these orders that I'm not like being able to accept? And I had asked you, and you were like, no, those are just hotspots. And so that was pretty interesting. But
did you feel like the hotspots were places you actually should be, or they were kind of like misplaced hotspots?
I feel like it depended in the area.
Okay.
Because like here in Elgin, it has Portillo's down on Randall as one of the hotspots. And I never got anything sitting in that Portillo's parking lot.
Okay.
So I would either go south on Randall to Buffalo Wild Wings, or I would go north and just like head deeper in.
Okay.
Because I would find my own little hotspots. Like I would just get frequent orders there, and I would just go back no matter like how far I'd traveled away from it, because I was pretty sure I'd get orders.
On a normal day, how much time was there between orders, would you say? Like on average, like on a normal day?
On average, a solid that depends. Because there were times where I was working like 7 hours or so, and like 2 or 3 of those hours I would get an order like as soon as I'm done delivering. Like I'm still in the person's driveway and I get a new order.
Okay.
But then there would also be times where I would, and that was like that for like 2 or 3 hours straight. And then like the rest of the time it's like, you go back to a hotspot or wherever you want to park or whatnot, and you sit for 15 to 30 minutes, like 45, and after I got to the point where after like 10 minutes somewhere I didn't get an order, I just moved. I was like, okay, I figure there's no orders in this area, like.
And just to kind of recap a little bit, so Matt, for the most part, did all of his DoorDashing in the way west suburbs. Like, you might not even consider it west suburbs. Like, we're talking Elgin area, which is just outside Schaumburg.
Yeah.
He went north, he went a little bit south, but for the most part in this area. So the results might be slightly different the further you go into Chicago. We can't say I haven't DoorDashed any further into Chicago.
The furthest east I ever got was like Lake Zurich-ish area, and that was pretty decent. Like that was some of the best DoorDashing I've done, because it's a little more compact. It's like generally wealthier people. I feel like the houses that I went to were extravagant. That was another fun part of DoorDashing. You got to see all these big beautiful houses and get a peek inside while you're there delivering food. But
sure.
Not to be creepy or anything. I just enjoy beautiful houses.
When you get an order through, so like one of my frustrations, I haven't really done much DoorDash. I've done a couple of orders, but I've done, a good 50 orders on Uber Eats. And my biggest frustration with Uber Eats is order comes through, I show up. McDonald's was the worst offender of this. I'd show up and I'd wait 5 to 10 minutes before I got the food. Did you find that you were waiting a lot of times for food?
Not so much of like the fast food places, because it's weird with DoorDash. With like the fast food places, you actually have to order it, and that's why they give you the red card, because they don't get the DoorDash order at all. Like they don't even do DoorDash, but DoorDash will like tell you the order and you go and order it and whatnot.
Okay.
So it's like just generally going through, a drive-through by yourself.
Sure.
But with like, bar and grills and like actual sit-down restaurants and like the fancier places, I would sit there and I would wait for like 5 to 10 minutes sometimes for food. And I mean, they have like pickup times. Like as soon as you accept the order is when the restaurant gets the order.
Okay.
Because they're not going to start making food before someone's available to deliver it.
Okay.
So I mean that makes sense, because DoorDash's idea is keep it as fresh as possible, which is why they have you order the fast food and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're only 5-10 minutes down the road from the restaurant, like they're not gonna have it ready by the time you're there, and you're gonna sit and wait and waste time. So I mean, like most of the time, I wouldn't even like bother going in until closer to the pickup time. Because they give like ridiculous pickup times too. They give like 30 minutes out from when you accept the order, and that's way too much time.
Yeah. And by contrast, and I don't know how Uber Eats system works, but like McDonald's sucked at getting me the food. Like it was really slow. But I'd go to like the mom and pop places. I'd walk in. Even 5 minutes after accepting an order, it'd be done and ready to go. So Uber Eats system must operate just slightly different, where they don't assign you to it until the food's ready or close to ready, type thing. To where, and that's where my frustration was. Is like for me, I go to all these other places, food's done, ready to go. I walk into McDonald's, they make the food when I show up, and I'm like, well, now that's 5 to 10 minutes of my time where I could be delivering more food, or in my case, driving another passenger. So that's one of the main reasons I stopped doing Uber Eats, is because the wait times when I could be just dropping off passengers like crazy.
Well, I feel like the Uber Eats probably is more saturated with drivers. There's probably more drivers to deliver food.
Sure.
Whereas DoorDash, I felt like if it was busy, and like most of the time I felt like I was the only person DoorDashing in specific areas, because I would get orders for like 15-20 minutes away, and like generally I hear that you shouldn't do that it's a waste of time and money, but
you gotta take what comes through.
Yeah.
You could decline that and not see another order for 20 minutes.
That's another thing about DoorDash. I think they do that. I don't think because if you're scheduled for one of your like a shift rather than just like hopping in and dashing, I think you get priority. You get like put to the front of whatever wait list. So like yes, they still do the proximity, like who's the closest driver to this. But say me and another driver, I did the schedule and he just hopped in and saw it was busy and started dashing out of nowhere. Say we're about the same distance, I'm going to get the order first. I'm going to get that request, before he will, because I was scheduled to be there. I'm putting in the hours that they need done, that they know they're going to be busy for.
Sure. So I guess overall, talking about the area that he dashed in, like the areas that he's doing, you, as we were talking earlier, you would say it's probably not a good gig full-time, correct?
Unless you have a really fuel-efficient car and you know your area really well, I wouldn't.
But as part-time, adding a few extra hours when you got some time, you think it's a good part-time gig to add in a little bit extra money when you need it?
Absolutely. Because, I mean, I drive a Jeep, so I don't get the best gas mileage, but, I mean, it was still, on average, it still came out to be worth it, and I would get a couple extra $100 in my pocket every weekend, and
sure.
Definitely, generally, a good part-time gig.
So, anything else you want to add, or?
I guess if you're thinking about doing it, like, just go do it. I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed it. I would just jam out some music in my car and, drive people's food. I was a food taxi, is what I like to call myself.
And to his point, like, if you're looking to do any type of rideshare or any type of thing in the gig economy, DoorDash is an easy way into that. DoorDash, Uber Eats, all those, where you're not delivering people, you're delivering food, and so it's an easy way to get your feet wet in kind of similar atmosphere. It's not the same thing. I mean, you're not dealing with a person on a consistent basis, but it is.
I feel like similar idea.
Yes.
Go here, pick this up, bring it here, drop it off.
You're getting used to using the apps, and doing those types of things. So then your worry is not the app, then your worry is just people once you get the people in there. So like,
Yeah.
it's a good way to dip your toe into it and kind of get your feet wet a little bit. But until next time, we are going to, I will keep continuing my Back to Basics series going here. As Matt goes on, we might do another interview a little bit later as he gets more experience, because he's only been doing it about a month and a half at this point. So he's still getting used to the situation, what's going on. He's going to do a little bit less now because his knee's healed, he's back to full-time work, but he's still going to do a little bit here and there.
Yep.
But until next time, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get those subscribers going so we can give out that gift card and give out more money as we keep going here.